How would it feel to have a thriving fitness business and have the freedom to enjoy life at the fullest? Well, that is exactly what the Trainer Revenue Multiplier Show is going to give you. My name is Mathew Park. This is Jaime Filer.
Hey guys.
And we are here to serve.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the Trainer Revenue Multiplier podcast. As always, I am your host, Jaime Filer, and I am joined by the sales ninja himself, Joe Marcoux. We just hopped off an incredible energy-infused call on Platinum, and it's a pleasure to get you one-on-one because your time and I feel like mostly your energy is so valuable.
I'm honored to be here. It was an honor to be with Platinum and everybody in there that participated. We had a great time. Like, let's rock and roll.
Amazing. Amazing. So for those who don't know, Joe has over 30 years of experience in sales. Joe, how do you accumulate that? Where did you start?
I started off in Winnipeg, Canada, which is where I'm born and raised, and still have a home there. I also live in Mexico half of the year. So I'm living the dream of the digital nomad snowbird who can enjoy winter with sandals. So I started off with a passion for exercise. I was asked to become a salesperson and manager of a very small exercise equipment retail store. And from there, a couple of years later, I literally opened up my own. I was asked to become a partner, and then there were like 4 partners in the business, and it was just chaos. So I said, at the age of 20, opened up my own business. I think of it in just the chaos, like crazy. 20 years old, opened up my own high ticket, high specialty exercise equipment retail store. And then from there, did a merger with a company 5 years later where we were the 7th location, became 38 locations in 18 months. So you got to learn quickly how to scale, learn about process. So and during that time as a business owner, as a young business owner, I got the opportunity to go and work with some fabulous mentors, some fabulous coaches. And I'll name a few. You might know a guy by the name of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn. If you don't know Jim Rohn, I'll tell you this much. If you know Tony Robbins,
you know
Mr. Rohn was Tony's coach.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to work with him. Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, and the list goes on. And I've spent a lot of money, and it was all worth it. And this is the stuff that you don't learn in university. It's school of hard knocks and good mentorship. And there were times where I thought I knew it all, and that's where I actually lost it all.
Until you're in a room with Bob Proctor and you're like, I know nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Amazing. So, I mean, that's a perfect segue into my first question, which is sales a skill or is it a trait?
It's a skill. 100% a skill. It's a process. So there are people that have the gift of gab.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can speak doesn't necessarily mean that you listen well.
Right. Oh, okay.
And there are people that are fearless in their approach to their extroverts. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can sell anything to anyone.
Yeah.
And then now more than ever, it's where's your passion lie? If, like for us, and I say this audience and myself included, I love exercise and what it makes me feel and how I look and how it imparts energy on other people. So if I can help people make a decision to choose to live a better quality of life through the benefits of total health and exercise, and it's beyond exercise, in terms of workouts, nutrition, and accountability, there's so much more in terms of mental health, in terms of financial health. The health takes on such a big aspect. And so if I'm helping people be better, confident communicators, then I'm leveraging my efforts through others.
I love that. So I want to touch on your use of the term financial health.
Yeah.
You mentioned before we hopped on and went live that you were an open book. So I'm very curious because a lot of people, they can acquire the skill of sales. They have the trait of the gift of gab, but they grew up with money trauma.
Mm-hmm.
DNA. I am curious what your financial health was and what your mindset was growing up.
Yeah. And it's a great question. I have a mindset coach. and I meet with my mindset coach, who happens to be a black belt in the dojo, right? He started off as this is no BS. Rusty started off as a men's or a musician's weight loss coach. So he was just focused on professional musicians because a lot of these people drink and they eat too much, they stay up late and everything else. So, and that didn't work out with him.
Okay.
Into the dojo with $150,000 in debt, and over time switched his life around, became a mindset coach, really, really good with neurolinguistic programming. So to answer your question, when I was young, there were some trigger points for me. For example, my parents' divorce. So suddenly I'm being brought up by a single mom who could barely afford anything. I remember getting rubber boots for winter, never mind actual winter boots, rubber boots. And I was thrilled that I was no longer wearing shoes with holes in them. I remember when my parents were together, we did a mindset session yesterday. So full transparency. I remember at 3 or 4 years old, this was the timeline exercise. I used all of my father's masking tape to make little toys. I was making with paper. I was using pieces of masking tape, and I used it all. And my father, well-meaning, grew up poor as well. He got angry with me. And do you know how much this costs? And this was a moment that triggered me. And then all of a sudden that's too expensive. I need to be really careful. And it's taken work for me to get to a place where I could break that pattern, to come to a place where it's like, okay, how do I view that now? And that also breaking the pattern for my kids.
Totally. 100% generation. Because you don't want them to have to, you'd love for them to see a mindset coach, but not for like the shit their parents left.
Well, that's just it. That's just it. So there's and mindset coaching, and I love where you're taking this, Jaime, because it's work. It's not like it's no different than you can't go to the gym, work out for an hour, and then go, yep, I'm fit. It's like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
This is ongoing process. Yeah. And it's made a massive difference to the way that I lead. Because if I'm a better delegator, if I'm a better leader, then I can allow my team to do what they do well, as opposed to micromanaging. And, like the saying goes, if you're a business owner, I will do it myself, like 5 words that will kill you.
Yeah.
So now it's like allowing people to do what they do well so that I can focus on my zone of genius.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So on the platinum call, you brought up head positioning. Well, you brought up body language in general, and then head positioning. Straight on is authority, tilted to the side is empathy. I heard an interesting theory about sales, Joe. The gentleman that was speaking, and of course he was on Instagram, so he's definitely an authority, said that when you come into a sales call with a guest, you treat it as though you are the doctor and they are the patient. You are solemn, you are somber, because they're in a state of pain. A doctor wouldn't come in and be like, yo, Jaime, where does it hurt? How do you feel about that? Just to play devil's advocate, because
So this is great. It's what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to pace our energy. So of course I'm on a call with high achievers. There's about 35 of you on that call. So I can't come in somber, right? I'm on a stage where I have to come in level 11 out of 10 and bring people up and be engaging. When it's one-on-one, I still want to encourage people to have the higher energy over that person, that your guest. So if they come in at a level 4, you got to come in at 5.
Okay.
If they come in at a level 4 and you come in at 11, like I did on the call, it's game over.
Yeah.
Right. So coming in with the right energy, and what we do during the process, or what we call the buying conversation roadmap, as we go and we find out things about people, as we follow the roadmap, we pace the energy where if you're at a 4 and I'm at a 5, I bring myself up to 6 and you're going to follow me. You'll go to 5. Yeah. And then I go to 7 and you'll go from 5 to 6. And then I'll go to 8 and you'll go from 6 to 7. And we do that to get to the point of decision. It's not about getting to the yes. Yeah. Because that's just creating an expectation and an expectation is a resentment and hiding.
Oh, totally. Yep.
right? So if I expect you to say yes and then you say no, like no, as opposed to I'm going in, I want to make a friend.
That's it. That's it.
Start there.
We say in TRM, high intention, low attachment.
Love it.
Right?
Yeah. And you can, in the recovery movement, it's called detachment with love.
Yeah.
Right. So you can be in love with someone, for example, who's an alcoholic, and they can have behaviors that are just absolutely horrible. So instead of saying, well, that's it, I didn't bring them to bed when I found them on the floor all drunken and everything, I just left them there. That's not detachment with love.
That's complete detachment.
Right. That's being indifferent.
Yeah.
The difference would be detachment would be, hey, you know what? They were hammered. They're at the bottom of the stairs, and I brought them a blanket and a pillow, and I left them there. I didn't carry them up and wash them off. That's right. So there's that detachment, and we go in with that. I'm going to detach with love, with the intent that if I start off first, love, and I'm a believer in what's called aim. In French, love is AIME. So am I aligned? Can I inspire? Can I motivate? What's the motivation to empower people to do what? Make a decision, yes or no. Because it's not the no's that kill you, it's the maybes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. So let's talk about the we'll say motivation, because I was the M part. I was on a sales call yesterday with a woman, and we were on Zoom. I was mirroring language. I was pacing energy. And then at some point, Joe, I believe it was as we were going through her pain, I saw her arms cross.
Ooh, okay.
And so I can recover from objections, not as well as you can, but I can recover from a lot. But when my wife does it, I put a hand on her knee, right? I can show, but when you're on Zoom and they cross their arms, how do I high intention, low attachment, not be like, fuck, it's over. Like, I'm done.
This is great. So using the concept of the SOS, the first step is acknowledge. Let's just acknowledge what we see.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, Jaime, I'm picking up a weird vibe here. And I'm noticing that you've changed your body position. And I'm just curious, then ask the question.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Okay.
Like, just go there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you would do that with your wife, would you do that with a friend? Like if you saw your friend all of a sudden be standoffish, it's like, hey, Jeff, dude, something's going on here. I'm just curious what's happening. And just have the conversation.
Right. Oh, I love, right. Joe, you have this incredible way of just taking the pressure off, right? From prospect to guest. I'm helping, right? You're just there. You're just there for a conversation.
Well, aren't you? Right? I know you are, Jaime.
I am.
Yeah.
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 So where do you draw the line, or where do you find new people who come in? No, they're new to the dojo, but they're kind of old to sales. How do you reframe from pushy to passionate?
So I love it, because there's a scale that I like to show sometimes. And the scale, it's the way that we communicate. There's a passive side of it where it's like somebody says, I need to think about it. Yeah, no problem. Here's my card. Get back to me whenever you want. And of course, that ends up ghost and never.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's the other side of the scale where it's aggressive.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people that have been in the sales space where they've learned that you got to be aggressive. You got to push. The person to push is myself. It's not the person that I'm having a conversation with.
Yeah.
I have to learn, and I'll use an I statement, and therefore the listener or you have to learn how to lean into the challenging conversations where we feel a little uncomfortable. And it takes practice.
Yeah.
So that we can develop emotional management, because like I shared earlier, when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. And so it's that challenge of, it's not the resistance that people, when they say, I need to think about it, that's the problem. It's the how I respond emotionally to that resistance that's actually the problem. And then my face will change, right?
100%. Yeah.
Right? No, all this resistance comes up. So what you've brought to the table already with, hey, we got to detach. That's already going to help you.
Yeah.
And it takes practice to detach.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I thought it was interesting. You gave us an exercise on the platinum call where you had us all smile as big as we could. 3, 2, 1, go, big smile. And you just brought up facial expressions as well. Again, I hate to give her so much credit, but my wife always gets on me because I look at myself on Zoom quite a bit. And I get it. There's the little green dot that tells me where I should be looking. But Joe, 36 years in, I'm still not always aware of my facial expressions.
Right. Yeah.
So I have to watch myself to make sure I'm not furrowing my, you say it's a financial objection. I know that's a smoke screen. You're just embarrassed and scared, but I can't let my face do that.
Right.
So
you're on it.
What suggestions do you have for people to like practice their facial expressions?
Well, I mean, the best thing to do is record your calls, audit yourself. And I remember when I was younger, I would listen to my calls or record calls of me on the floor, and I couldn't stand the sound of my voice, and I didn't like the way that I looked. You'll get over it.
Yeah.
Share your calls. It's great. Coaching is so great because if there's anything that's going to be beneficial, share your calls with someone else. Have someone audit it. And don't do it with a loved one, because that's just a recipe for disaster. Because then the moment that they say something that you might disagree with, then it melds into your relationship. Go to a pro. If you're a part of TRM, ask somebody within the group. Yeah. Ask somebody who is in that like one arm's length away. Get a coach. I mean, it's valuable. Yeah. And so do that. If you're going to do it on your own, audit yourself. You can practice, and then certainly like little things. Here's an example of how do you smile? I'll give you this. When you smile from your eyes.
Yeah.
Some people smile like this. So here's an exercise you can do. If you're watching this, right? You can look in the mirror and smile without your eyes. Purposefully smile without your eyes. Looks horrible. Yeah. It's like totally fake.
Totally.
Like fake. Now, if you smile with your eyes, there's a little squint, right? And it's like, So practice that. And here's the thing: state change when you practice your state. Tony Robbins is awesome at this. When you practice your state, you should be in a great state, and again, a controlled state when you get on your buying conversation calls. Right. And at any moment when things happen, be curious. Be interested. If I'm consistently being curious and interested and I'm still happy in that process, doesn't mean that somebody won't challenge me. Like if somebody said to me, I'm standing on a live event and somebody, you don't know what you're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
Big fear of mine. So I practice this. It's like, well, clearly I've said something that you don't agree with. Can I ask you what that is?
Yeah.
Knowledge. Ask a question. And then whatever they say, it's like, hey, you know what? Because I want to respect everyone's time, let's do this. You and I are going to talk together off stage when we're done. And then I can still respect everyone else that's in this room. Fair enough? So acknowledge, ask the question. Of course, I've practiced this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so natural for you. Yeah.
And it's natural only because I've done it multiple times. So we have to put in the reps. It's just like going into the gym.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you watch some people with a kettlebell or doing front squats, and like there's some people that I watch with the weights that they fling around and they just make it look so easy. It's because they've done it. Yes, some people have natural abilities. Like there's some people in school. You remember those people that they never studied and they got 100% on the test? Like those people, there's not a lot of those people. There's a few. It's interesting because not a lot of those people are business owners either. There's just a couple. Like 1 or 2%. Most of those people are working for the C students.
Right. Because it came too easy for them. They never learned how to grind through. Correct. And that's all entrepreneurship is.
That's it.
Through. Yeah. Okay. So now let's get to the nuts and bolts. We have a couple minutes left of conversations. Again, super interesting thing you said on our platinum call was that why is a swear word.
It is.
As why is accusatory. So I would love to hear a little bit more. And also, Joe, part 2, what are other swear words in a sales conversation or faux pas?
Yeah. So the reason we want to avoid why, and this generally happens at the beginning of a call. And remember, rapport is so important. I want to be aligned with someone. People will buy off who they know, like, and trust. So if you like the person that you're speaking with, having a conversation, then you're now able to go and follow the roadmap of the buying conversation to get to, in the end, is it a yes or a no?
Yeah.
Or what option is best for you, where no is not even on the table. So, which is another conversation. The word why, when we were younger, is a trigger word. Why did you do that? Why would you do that? I mean, everyone has had that question asked of them when they were really young. And so instead of asking why, just shift it to what. So what prompted you to get on this call today? What was it that you were looking to get from this call today? So why now? Like, just, it's too intrusive, and we have to earn the right to get there.
Yeah.
So ETR is very important. Doesn't mean that you and your wife couldn't have a conversation. It's like you can be in that place, Jaime.
Because
you
of
can
who-
ask what, right?
Yeah.
Because of that connection that you have. And even if you were to still apply shifting why to what, it opens up doors. You get a little bit more detail. So other swear words or faux pas, using but after acknowledgement. It's a big one.
Yeah.
So, and we corrected, I gave examples today. Nobody on the call actually used the word but. However, there were people going, oh, and it was a writer downer moment. So, which is great. So what I mean by that is when we acknowledge someone saying, hey, you know what, I can't afford it. And it's like, well, for example, I would say, Jaime, thank you for sharing where you're at right now. I know that for some people, it's really a challenging time with the economy. But what would be like, but I'm now negated everything I just said.
Yeah.
So instead of but, what can we replace it with? Just a short pause. Thanks for sharing where your situation's at right now, Jaime. If there was a way for us to be able to make this affordable for you, right?
Yep.
And using the body language, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing a chop, right? I'm doing a judo chop.
Yeah.
So what I'm implying, and the subconscious mind picks up 55% of the way we communicate is body language. So if you do, like, my hands are connected to my voice box.
Right.
I can say 55% of the way we communicate is body language. If there was a way for us to be able to make it affordable, right? So if there was a way for us to be able to make it affordable, now it's more engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shows passion. This is why when people are on Zoom, don't be the floating head. I see people do this on Zoom calls. Well, my hands are moving like crazy right now. You can't tell. If I'm torso, now you can see. Yeah. I've been on coaching calls just recently. This dude, great shoulders, looked fantastic. Couldn't tell. Looked like a floating head. I'm like, dude, back up from your camera. Like, people want to look like you.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So we've got, make sure you're not a floating head. Not exaggerated, but use your hands a lot.
Allow your hands. Yes.
Don't use the word why. Don't use the word but. You also said, again, on the call, stay away from Don't use those filler words as well, right? Repeat, repetition.
Yeah. Filler words are horrible because what happens is you lose your authority.
Yeah.
So what happens when people encounter an objection is they start to stutter. And then they'll start stuttering. And the problem with that is then we, the person speaking, will be conscious of it. And then the person listening is going, there's shit in the bed here. And so it becomes this vicious circle. So practice is key. There's a reason why some of the best musicians in the world will do a sound check and they'll actually practice and Paul McCartney is still singing It's a Hard Day's Night. He's 81.
Yeah.
And he practices it with the band.
Yeah.
And everybody goes back to see him because it's a great show and it's bang on.
I was going to say, he's perfected it. 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what is the number one, I don't want to call it a mistake because that doesn't make it a safe space, but what is the number one issue you see trainers specifically, because I know you work with a lot of different kinds of people in sales, but trainers, online coaches specifically make, and what is your number one hack? Just give us a secret.
The biggest mistake that online coaches, fitness coaches, nutrition coaches, health practitioners make is they go into the pitch way too soon. You're pitching way too soon. And even because you care so much and you know that what you offer is great, you're pitching too soon and you haven't followed a process of really getting to what the desire and their urgency, not fake urgency, their desire and urgency are critical. So if you're trying to find a shortcut, there is none.
Yep.
What I'm going to impart with you is get their SMART goals. Find out what their 3 SMART, it can't just be one. People find out, I want to lose 25 pounds in the next 180 days. I can help you. And then they just jump into the pitch. It's like, whoa. If I get the SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, then I get 3 of those. And then I start digging into the desire in terms of what it's beyond. That's not why, that's deeper.
Yeah.
And they feel it. And then they have a sense of, I need to do this when, because there's no better time than now. So great. Then we transition and we can do what's called a temperature check, right? I asked on the call, if you were to ask somebody to marry you on a scale of 1 to 100, right? What was the number that Darren gave us? It was 100.
Yeah.
You don't go in, well, I think they're going to say yes. So people pitch too soon. So temperature check. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how important and urgent is it for you to be able to solve this problem?
Yeah.
It's a 10 or higher. And no matter what number they give you, what makes it that number? And I'll give you an extra hint. If they say it's a 7, then okay, it's a 7. That tells me there's something missing in discovery.
Sure. Yeah.
If it's a 7, it's like, so what? I'm really appreciative of the fact that you're letting me know it's a 7. What's missing for it to make it a 9 or a 10? And then you'll get the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just don't know how much it's going to be, or, well, I just wasn't on the macros. And you're like, oh, easy fix. We'll get to that. No problem.
Right. And then you want a temperature check actually twice. And this is where people make the mistake. You want to go through the pitch process once you've earned the right to actually share what you do, selling the sizzle, not the steak. And it's like, this is some of the stuff that we do that we're going to be able to solve the problem and get you to the goals that you have in mind and get excited. Now my energy's coming up, right? Remember we started with the doctor's office, we're pacing it up. So now at this point, we temperature check again before we deliver price. And it's like, so Jaime, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how confident are you?
Yeah.
That we are going to be able to achieve our goals together? I'm not going to give you my price if you think it's a 6.
Yeah, not ready yet. Not ready yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to practice that part as well. And there's pieces to this puzzle or the roadmap. You follow the roadmap, you'll get to the destination.
Yeah. Easy. Mic drop. Thanks, Joe. But seriously, you're absolutely incredible.
Oh, thank you. So are you guys. I love TRM. This is awesome.
Thank you. Love being in your presence. Where can people find you if they want to learn more and your SOS Dojo?
If they want to learn more, do you want me to just give you stuff so that they can in the chat?
Yes. No, not the chat. Okay. Give me where they can follow you, where they can get in touch with you, where they can learn more.
Okay. So you can look up Joe Marcoux, or even better yet, on Instagram. If you're in the Gram world, you can go to SOS Dojo. That's DOJO, or look up Joe Marcoux. You'll find me at SOS Dojo. You can also find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually one of my favorite places. And there's a place for, by the way, if you're in the fitness space, there are more millionaires on LinkedIn than any other platform. So there are people that are waiting for you there that need your help. Executives need coaching. They're waiting.
Joe, thank you again so much for your time. Everyone else, I am at Jaime91. We are at Trainer Revenue Multiplier. Thank you so, so much for listening. Make sure you rate, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about us. And until next time, have the best rest of your day.
Be awesome.